You both of you have actually talked about unemployability now, and I know it's a word. I can't remember who I was listening to some time ago who said he didn't like the word, that nobody's unemployable, and he made valid reasons as to why he believes that. Is it not possible that there's a job for everybody?
I will touch that point. Very interesting point. You know, the typical Nigerian is the kind of person who believes that if he has this kind of educational qualification, these are the only kind of jobs he is qualified to do. And the very dangerous thing that is eating actually into the youth of today. So you find youths who actually cannot do anything, right? Cannot even write a CV, right? And they actually want to get a job that pays them 100,000 naira and above. It's ridiculous, left to me. But then, like Maureen has pointed out, most of these youths are not actually objective. They don't know that they don't know. which is a big problem. When you don't know that you don't know, there's a limit to how I can help you, you know. And even when I'm trying to tell you that you don't know, you still don't want to accept that you actually don't know. So it's a big problem, which is why I mentioned the issues of structures, right? I think people like myself, like Maureen, like yourself, I would see us as outliers. What we need to do, even in our own capacities, as young people who are doing something worthwhile in the society, is to try and make stories like ourselves common, and not make it not leave it as uncommon stories. And it's by putting structures into place. So, for example, now, if only 10% of young Nigerians can actually write good CVs themselves, or can write even just a basic proposal, or can use PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, what can we do to make sure that 90%, right, of young youths outside there can do this, even when they don't necessarily think they are supposed to be able to do it? You get what I'm trying to say? And I think steps in this direction is going to help us to get where we want to get faster. If we leave it to people to pick it up that I want to develop myself, we're going to get there. But then we are going to get there, only God knows, maybe in 100 years.
Yeah. Very, very key point you mentioned there. I mean, you at JOBMAG, you deal obviously one-on-one with people who need jobs, and I think the figures are somewhere around 23 or 24% of the population without a job. What is I want to use the word short-term solution, but I know there are no short-term solutions for unemployment per se, but what do we need to start doing now to start seeing changes?
The truth of the matter is that we need more organizations such as ourselves, and Jobbermans and what have you, because for a country like Nigeria, where the population is very, very high, and when you do the numbers of 23%
of 170 million,
you know, that's an astronomical number of people out of jobs. So we need more and more organizations like ourselves. We also need the government to be able to support organizations such as ourselves, because the people that we're also trying to help, like I said, have misplaced priorities. So they're not even willing to pay for our services, and that's the honest truth. So if we could get funding, we can reach out to more people as well. With what he mentioned, we face exactly the same thing as well. Just to touch on that unemployability aspect, he hit the nail on the head when he mentioned that we have people come into JOBMAG on a regular basis. They can't even use the system, and they want to get paid 200,000 naira, you know, and it's just ridiculous. They can't string two sentences together. They can't write a simple letter, you know. So even if an employer wanted to employ them, how useful are they going to be? You know, I always tell people that put yourself in an employer's shoe. You have limited resources. Would you be willing to spend your hard-earned money on somebody that is not going to add value to you, or somebody that you're always going to have to go over everything that person has done? You wouldn't want to do that now, would you? So at the end of the day, like I said, we need to be able to reach out to as many people as possible, online, one-on-one, you know, as much as we possibly can. But we need support to be able to do that, because it's not a cheap task.
The truth is that government cannot employ everybody, neither can the oil sector, which is where everybody seems to want to run to, because the big box is there. Is the private sector doing enough, or are we at a stage now where we can say, okay, the private sector has gotten to a point where we can at least look at a drastic reduction of these numbers? Or are we even getting there?
Yeah, interestingly, myself and Maureen were actually discussing that right before the show. Industries are needed if you want more jobs. That's just the truth. You need more industries, and you need bigger industries. I would, I stand to be corrected, but I would say the two biggest industries, or the three biggest industries, right, at the moment in the country is government, number one, oil and gas, which is actually even small. Oil and gas can employ just a few people, right? And entertainment. I'll put, and entertainment is entertainment because the people in entertainment has decided to do it that way, despite of the fact that they didn't get government support, right? Now, how can we make other industries bigger? That's the issue, right? And that is what needs to be solved. The private sector at the moment, they are doing the best they can do. Obviously, they need people, they need human resources to work, but you cannot take more than you can actually cater for, right? So at Jobberman, we have 65 employees. If we can't do more than that, we can take more than that. We can't hire people that we don't need, and we can't hire people that cannot add value. So it's just as basic as that. So it's about getting the middle point of getting bigger industries and getting people to be able to add value to as well. If it's fashion we need to make bigger, let's make it bigger. If it's Nollywood we need to make bigger, let's make it bigger. Whatever we need to do, whatever industries we need to do, and whatever people we need to train to also be able to fill those spaces in that industry, let's do it. India did a lot of work in that regard, right? In terms of IT. So you find out that in India, at every corner there's a programmer. Not because the guy decided to go and learn programming on his own, but because it became their thing. You get the point? It was kind of structured.
Let's look at that now, because you mentioned India now. Of course, India, the IT, virtually every call center is there. You also have China, which kind of focus on manufacturing. Industries, of course, would need to drive the economy. I want to focus on agriculture now. It seems to be like the new thing in Nigeria, where the minister seems to be doing a lot. I mean, he's Forbes Person of the Year. It's supposed to be the next oil, like they call it for Nigeria. Could that be the answer?
I think it can also be the answer. It can be one of the many things that we
people don't like using the word sexy. People don't think agriculture is sexy enough for young people. Because agriculture still involves a lot of hard work, and that's the truth. Find that there's a very long value chain when it comes to agriculture. So it depends on where you want to plug in. The tail end, the processing aspect of agriculture, for example, could be sexy, if I can use your own words. But the initial part, the farming itself can be very rigorous. And right now, a lot of farmers can't afford to get all the sophisticated machineries that can do a lot of automation for you and all of that right now. So because of that, it's still the hard farming methods of being out in the sun, sweating and all of that, So I can understand, where a few people a few people would say that, yes, it's not sexy. I can totally understand that. But the truth of the matter is, I know for a fact that a lot of money is being pumped into that industry right now. I know for a fact that there's a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of consultants, anybody that is interested in getting into that industry. I think that they're actually trying to help people. So I think it's one way that young people can get themselves employed if they take away the rigors of working in that. That rigor is very important to me, because as much as we know, people tend to think of farming and think of it as, subsistence and very basic. But it's a very expensive thing to go into. You need money to buy equipment, We know how terrible our Land Use Act here is, so it's almost impossible to even get land to even do proper farming on. How are we going to be able to navigate all of that with like bank loans, to help a young man today who decides, okay, I want to go into, I don't know, poultry farming, or I don't know, whatever it is?
I think, Ebuka, you actually, put light on the real issue with agriculture. Agriculture can save the country, but I'm not sure agriculture can solve the problem of unemployment at the basic level, right? Like Maureen said, at the tail end of processing and all that, there are a lot of opportunities, it kind of just goes down into manufacturing, and a lot of things are possible along that line. But for agriculture as is, right, it's expensive, and most of it is mechanized, interestingly, right? If it's not mechanized, you can't really get any serious value out of it. So as such, agriculture is not going to employ too many people at the end of the day, right? But processing might, manufacturing might, and that's still a long way from what we have at the moment.
Just on the final note, 2015 is around the corner. Elections are basically taking over, actually. Nobody seems to be doing any governance anymore. What does this say for employment in the next year?
Well, it depends on the angle that you want to look. I can guarantee that there will be a lot of short-term employment. A lot of contracts would surface.
That's a good word.
That's the best word I can use for that. A lot of short-term employment will surface due to the fact that 2015 is around the corner and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that's not what's going to solve the problem, you know. It's what should happen after 2015 that is important. And I think if I can just use this platform to urge young Nigerians to actually get out there and vote for the right people, because that's extremely important, you know, for us to ensure that the right people are there who can help solve some of these issues. Will be the way to go. So people should not get deceived by any short-term boost. Things that happen. It could be to businesses because they've gotten contracts to print flyers or banners or what have you. It could be for the young people that they would call in on their campaign train and all of that. But people should not get sidetracked by that. You know, if you can make the money during the period, yes, all well and good. I probably would have done the same thing. That, you know. but
you're trying your eye, basically. Maybe to you now, very, very quickly now. I mean, we're going to hear promises very soon. I'm going to create so and so jobs if you vote for me in 2015. Are there any things we need to look out for, maybe on who to vote for when they make these promises, like concrete sort of ways to create these jobs?
One thing is, when someone says it's going to make jobs available, the first question you need to ask is how,
exactly.
Right? So if someone tells you, and this goes to job seekers and the general public out there, if someone tells you that I'm going to create jobs, if he cannot explain exactly how, right, he's not the guy to vote for. He's not the person to vote for, in my own opinion. And also to people that are contesting, to the incumbents and the new ones that are coming, there's a lot they can actually play with the employment card, right? And it's for them to actually find the right way. And I think the right way is basically in two ways. The industries, right? Creating value in terms of having exactly what you're going to do to make an industry bigger or to create an entire new industry in your location, in your region, in your state or in the nation. And also on the part of employability too as well. If you can boast on the fact that your people are more employable and actually put the numbers out there, or how you are going to make your people more employable, train your people in a particular skill and also create an industry out of it, I'm sure that person would be riding high, clearly. But it's just for our politicians to also actually add value. You know, you want to win, I think you need to add value. Then you get our votes.
Thank you very much, Opeyemi. That's a very wonderful note to wrap this up. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Maureen, for being here today. And hopefully we get you back on a lighter note and a happier note next time.